Hello and welcome to another Talking To episode. I'm your host Teddy, and today I'm being joined once again by
Hayden.
And today we're going to talk about the TMNT 2003 Season 2 Episode 11, Modern Love, The Return of Nano. So what do you think about this episode briefly?
Briefly, it was certainly a flashback to the first episode where we saw Nano, and it also brought back some much different emotions, I'd say, with bringing back Nano and his sad story.
Yeah, I have to say that with this episode, it felt like I was trying to repeat everything we had done in the first episode, but at the same time, they just it didn't have the same feeling. It was sad, but it wasn't like last episode kind of sad. It was just, it just really happened. I felt like it just wasn't really there. It just felt like they was trying too hard to make it more sad and stuff like that. But everything about it was just like, oh, well, we've already seen him die, and once we found all that in the last episode, now here it's just the exact same stuff, but not as good. So yeah. Okay, so for the first bit, we do get to see April. She's going around the lair and she's getting annoyed because Mikey's like going on hoverboard, and Raph throws Mikey at her. Don jumps into the river and gets her all wet. What do you think about that scene there?
To be honest, it was cool to see that they're back in the lair now, and it was really cool to see that Mikey has his own hoverboard, which I found really interesting. Out of the blue, Donnie's just cooked up some hoverboard for Mikey, which can either be really good or really bad, because this is Mikey we're talking about here.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that with the Mikey hoverboard kind of stuff, it's amazing how because this was the early 2000s. It's amazing how they were able to do something like that and create amazing hoverboard technology with any technology. And then it just seems weird with how to go around with the internet kind of thing and be like, just saying oh yes, I got this code, I can use the internet to track it down. It just felt so weird how it was going around it. It's just, I don't know, it's hard to say if this was trying to be a modern show or something in the past with I went around with the internet kind of stuff and the horrible thing. It just felt so off, but it was amazing.
It was pretty cool.
Yeah. I mean, also with Donatello's stuff, some of that I do feel like Don could have definitely prevented, but at the same time, April knew what was about to happen, and she could definitely prevented some of that, because she definitely could tell that it was going to be a big splash. I just don't understand why she was so surprised by it.
Yeah, no, I'm not surprised either, to be honest. Surely she would know at this point.
Yeah. I think also for the next bit, which I did find to be interesting, considering what comes next in the show. We do get to see my Splinter. He's watching a TV report, and it's a similar one to last week's episode with Raph watching TV, and the report was about the gang wars and the city more or less going to war with all the gangs. Do you have anything to say about that?
Not really, no. Of course, I thought it was pretty cool to see that they're reporting the news still, and to show that the gang crimes are going up a bit. So maybe a bit of foreshadowing with some up-and-coming rivals, I guess. But at this point, this is just speculation.
Yeah, it's foreshadowing for and it's just a story of it takes place in the next couple of episodes, which I do think is really great. Which are setting the seeds for story arc now and trying to set things up then, compared to other shows which you just do the story arc out of the blue without any sort of context. So I do like how they're sewing it into these kind of episodes which don't really have any sort of importance, but setting things up in a very natural way, which I do really enjoy. So then after that, we do get to see KC. He comes in and is like, oh, I'm going to take some tools. I'm going to walk on the carousel. You want to join me, April? Yeah.
Yeah, no, that was certainly an interesting bit of commentary there from
From
Casey. I don't know why my mind just went blank there. I don't know what happened there. Yeah, so Casey and April, that was some really not different commentary, and I wasn't expecting it, to be honest. Like, we all knew that Casey and April had a thing going on. Now it's just been confirmed by everyone. And it was also really weird as well to see Casey Jones and April just talking about it. And I don't know why. The Turtles were actually like, I don't know. The Turtles were like being big brothers. It's like, oh, where are you taking April? She's like part of the family and all that. And they were just like curious and a bit concerned. It's like, oh, is this some sort of date you guys are going on? And then of course you've got Master Splinter that comes in, and he's like the father of the situation.
you're talking about a scene that happens later.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, no. So, and this is the scene where Casey comes in and asks April if she wants to come join him work at the carousel, not at that bit where he comes in to take her out.
Oh, my bad. Jumped straight ahead of that.
Yeah.
Apologies. We can restart that again.
but like, either way, what do you think about that bit there?
To be honest, I didn't think much of it until, of course, later on when I clocked on. It's like, okay, they're going on a date, sort of thing.
Yeah, to be honest, I didn't really think too much of it as well. It was just like a nice way to get those two characters together, set things up for the future and stuff like that. And it's just a nice plot device kind of thing. Yeah. Also, it was quite weird to see like Casey and April being different outfits throughout the whole episode compared to how they normally look. I mean, it was different, nice, but weird because I've seen them so long in like their usual outfits, and yet they're like this. I mean, also just something which I was just thinking of today. How did Casey and April manage to live? Like, because I want to explain a bit more because it sounds a bit weird, but because if you think about it, when they went to Northampton, they had no jobs or anything like that for about 2 months, and then after that, even when they come back to New York, April will still have a job for like quite a while for like the Return to New York stuff, the Social Splinter stuff, and all that kind of stuff. How did she survive and all that without any sort of income? I know you know.
I have no idea.
Yeah, because let's think about it. Because also she got like the money today to build her own place, and that's more or less where she gets like her job and all that. So it's just so bizarre that how did she? I don't know. It's just so weird because I say with Casey, he seems like he could do like pretty much jobs anywhere, and like he doesn't seem like office type for obvious reasons. I think he's more of like a builder or something along those kind of lines, or mechanic or something. But it just seems so like I was just thinking about it, it's just so weird how she was able to live and then just like, oh yeah, I just want to build a house and build a shop, and they're not going to question that she didn't have any income for about like 3 and 4 months.
To be honest, mate, I think we're looking too deep into this. Like, this is Turtles after all.
It should be realistic. But yeah. So after that, we do get to see the return of Nano, and he comes back from the junkyard, and he's able to bring to life his old body, and looks at a TV screen of like a 50s TV show of a kid being like, "I got an A, Dad." What do you think about those? What do you think about that scene there?
To be honest, I felt that was a bit rushed. Seeing Nano just appear out the blue without any context whatsoever, I thought that was a bit bad storytelling on the developers' part. Like, oh, Nano just appears out the blue. There's no context. There's no flashbacks to how he survived or why is he still alive. Like, there's no context to that, which I thought was a bit bad on the developers' side of things. But Seeing Nano again was actually pretty cool because I really do enjoy Nano as a character, because he's got such a very deep story development behind him and character development. And of course, it is pretty sad with his sort of story, but it just shows that this poor character has just gone through hell in life and just trying to survive.
Yeah, I'll just say that, like, because I mean, I do find with how they bring Nano back, and I do think like your point is very valid. It's just and it's like the thing I was saying at the beginning of the episode. It just feels like it felt like an episode which I didn't really know what I wanted to do, but I was just told I had to do something with Nano, and I did this. And I mean, even seeing all this kind of stuff, I mean, I think it's like really like good storytelling, like show that like this is what like Nano wants and his end goals are, which I do think is really great, especially like after knowing what happened to him in the last episode and how much he's being abused and all that kind of stuff. I do think it's like really great storytelling, but at the same time, it does feel like very rushed and just out of nowhere, really, because this I feel like I had this like stuff like maybe like come out in like season 1. I think it might not have been as bad because it's just so weird. Just because it's like over like a season wait like to get to the next story, it just feels so there because I had to do it, not really there because it was it was a natural progression or anything like that. It's just so weird how they went around it. But then for the next scene, we do get to see Harry. He's back, and he's in the prison, and he gets and also gets broken out of by Nano as well. What do you think about those scenes there?
Seeing Harry again was actually pretty funny. Just to know what he's doing and what he's up to. Of course, he's now in Rikers Island prison. He's been sentenced for how many long years he's been in there for. And of course, it was nice to see that Harry hasn't lost his way. Harry's still a con man through and through. He's conning prisoners out of their treats, playing blackjack, and of course, Harry being Harry, he's a con man after all, and he's always got that ace up his sleeve. And of course, he gets done for it, and the prisoners are about to jump him for it, and of course, his saviour, Nano comes in and busts him out. And to be honest, I thought that was pretty funny. I thought that was pretty funny and really cool to see like Nano come back and rescue Harry after all this time. Like he was trying to bring back his dad sort of thing, as Harry is sort of like Nano's sort of parental figure, that Nano looks up to him in quite a high standard. And of course, it was pretty cool to see Nano see Harry, and of course they have this short little reunion, and then they bust out jail together, and everyone's like, what's actually going on right now? Like, what is this? Like, they don't even try and stop him because they're like, what's actually happened?
Yeah, I mean, it's really great seeing Harry in this episode. I feel like he's definitely a underrated character. I mean, when we did first see him where he's like treating all the like he was like scamming all the inmates, I mean, that was like a typical kind of thing that he would do, and I mean, it's just one of the kind of things that it was a scene that was just very, it was fun, but yeah. And then now it breaks in, and I really enjoy his design where it's able to include like a vendor and just beating up all the guards. I'd say like with that design, I would like to see like a lot more of that kind of fight, because I feel like that bit would have been like really great. It was quite amusing to see Harry in the vending machine, and even with some of the stuff which Harry just says, which it's just something which I like to talk about now because it's just so amazing with what with what he says and does. So one of the things we should do like at the end, was getting trapped in prison. Is like, oh no, and saying that he was kidnapped, but you can quite clearly tell that he was saying it in front of the guards, you know. Beat them up, Nano. Free me. I thought that was amazing.
Yeah, that was
stupid on his end.
Yeah, no, definitely. He can't really use that in his defense anymore because there was literally witnesses everywhere saying, "Oh, Nano, beat the guards up. They're bad people." Like he can't use that in court anymore. I don't think.
Yeah. Also, to say for like, also my other line, which I was saying for this whole episode was, "That's my boy." I don't know why that specific line, but it was just him going for the whole episode. That's my boy. But yeah,
It's a typical New Yorker accent. It's like, that's me boy and all that. That's just a typical thing, isn't it?
Yeah, no,
it fits well though.
You know, it really does feel like that kind of that kind of thing. I think if he was like an actual good person, I feel like this is what he does seem like the kind of character that would be like that. But I'll definitely like to see Harry return. Like, also, this is sadly his last appearance in Turtles forever. So,
Really?
yeah, unfortunately,
That's a shame.
yeah, it's disappointing, but it has so much potential. But then after that, we do get to the scene which we were talking about earlier, where Casey comes in with flowers and asking April to come and like with him, and all Toes and Splinter be like, "Oh, what time are you taking what time are you coming back?" Yeah, do you want to continue where you left off?
Yes, apologies about that, folks. So basically, what I was trying to say at that point in time was that it was very weird to see the Turtles and Splinter sort of like be a bit curious and a bit concerned for April, as they treat April like a sister. April's like the sister of the group, and of course Casey Jones comes in and takes her out for a date, and of course April accepts, and of course the Turtles are like, hold on a minute, what are you doing with April? Where's she going? Like, they're being curious as like big brothers sort of thing, because April was one of the first actual humans to be a part of that group, and of course over time the Turtles have like grew this family bond with April, and they're just looking out for her like big brothers do. But of course Splinter comes in the fold. It's like, what time are you going to be bringing her home, young man? It's like the proper father of the group right there, just trying to like make things like solid. Just like, hold on a minute, you gotta bring her back by this time. It's like, gotta look after her, alright? You know, it's that proper typical dad vibe right there.
Yeah, I'd say though with this scene, I thought it was like a really great scene to show off their like family bond, as you said, and I did find it to be quite amusing. I mean, the Turtles stuff, I did find to be a little like weird how they was talking to April. No, I wouldn't say weird, but it just felt so off, like not like them. It just felt like they were trying to put it in there for the comedy kind of thing, which it did work. It just didn't really feel like a thing which I would say. But Splinter saying it, yeah, I mean, just like the last episode, girls.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. Oh god, yeah. Just like the last episode, hashtag girl boss Splinter.
Oh god, I completely forgot about that.
Yeah, no, it really suits his character, and I do like how like everyone does, like even with like Casey and Splinter, we do see him as like a father figure type of character, which I just find to be like, really interesting with like their relationship with Toes and Splinter, and I do like how they are like exploring it through like a comedic lens and all that kind of stuff, and it's so much I would like to see them like show off a little bit more throughout the whole show, because I do definitely feel like there was definitely a lot of scenes where they could have shown this off with their family kind of stuff and all that, but they just don't really. It's only like a few like scenes here and there which are like sort of not really explore, but just hint at it maybe. But I say like with stuff like this where I do get seen just Arab being more or less whole family and all that kind of stuff, it was like really great to see. And also spending just actually doing his job of being a father, that's really great. But the next question is, so with the Casey and April stuff, do you actually think they're actually going to get together, or what?
To be honest, at this point it's too soon to say, but you can definitely tell there's something going on there. There's a bit of romance going on there. There's a sort of like bond between the two characters. So I think something might happen to them. I think they might become something in the future, but at this point it's too early to say, really.
Okay, well, going on to that question, well, and we already know your feelings on the 2012 stuff with the relationships which are done there, which is either creepy and weird with Donnie, or with Leo kind of thing is keeping it in the family. Like, and we know how we definitely feel about that, but with this kind of relationship, because it's actually a normal relationship, would you be against this one compared to like the 2012 ones?
To be honest, the relationships, I try and steer clear of those because the relationships can get very weird, as in 2012. But to be honest, this relationship, I think it's fine.
Actually normal.
Yeah, somewhat normal in this crazy world that is the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle world, but I think it's fairly normal. Like, they're human for one, and unlike...
not keeping it in the family.
God, I can't believe you just said that. Oh, okay.
It's true.
Yep. I'm just going to pretend you didn't say that. Moving on. But yeah,
sadly, it is though. That's the sad part about it. It is true.
What do you mean it is?
They're related.
Who?
Like Leo and Cry.
Oh, you're talking about... Oh, God. I don't want to go through that again. I don't want to think about that. Like, no.
Should we just move on to the next scene?
Let's just move on, shall we? This is getting way out of control.
Okay, well, next scene, we got the turtles thinking they can stop child abuse. Yeah, that's the bit where I was watching TV and like, oh, you know, we can stop child abuse and make him have a better life. Your opinions?
Well, I wouldn't have used those words, but yeah, the turtles consider the fact that maybe if Nano was dealt a better deck of cards, as they say in life, that maybe he would have had a different perspective on life, and he would have grown up to be a bit more calm and gentle and a bit more caring and loving, instead of him being destructive, violent, because he hadn't had that opportunity in life. Of course, the turtles then go on to this hypothetical theory of Master Splinter being evil and them being raised as a weapon instead of a weapon for good. And that was a kind of interesting dilemma that I thought was like, maybe imagine if the Turtles and Splinter were actually the bad guys and Shredder was actually the good guy. Imagine that. That would be a crazy story.
There are like stories out there which have like explored that kind of thing. I think we should probably like talk about one of those one day.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, I mean, because there's like there is like a natural episode in the show which do explore that, but it's a different universe where turtles have powers. It's not really the sort of thing which we're talking about, but close enough. But even in that universe, the turtles were good, and there's also like a story which I really enjoyed, where the turtles were brainwashed into thinking they worked for into working for Shredder, and it's a very dark story because basically everyone dies. But yeah.
Oh wow. Spoilers.
You haven't read the comic and you don't even know the characters.
But you just... God, never mind.
Like you're gonna read the comics.
I might do.
Yeah, sure. I mean, yeah, so I have to say with this bit, I do like how they are thinking this way and thinking they can, like changing all that kind of stuff. Yeah, to be honest, there's not very much I can really talk about with this bit. It's just like kind of like one of those ones where it's just like setting things up for the future, well, I won't say future, but like the storyline for this episode, which was pretty great for the most part. But other than that, there wasn't really too much I can really talk about this bit here. So yeah, then next thing we do get to see is the scientist. She's working on something, and then she's kidnapped by Nano. What do you think about that bit there?
When Nano kidnaps the scientist and refers to her as mother, I thought that was very, very weird because one, he remembers where he was created, and two, he remembers the person who created him. And I thought, hold on a minute, if he's going back there, I think he might want revenge because of how he was treated by her. And he might destroy the whole building and destroy the whole place, but it took a different turn. And I really wasn't expecting Nano to bring Harry and the scientist together and enact out what he saw on the television in the first scene of this episode. It was really weird and very, I'm not too sure, the creepy in the words of saying. Like, it's very creepy that he's acting this way with Harry and the scientist. And of course, I understand why. He's projecting what he's seen on TV, and he's projecting the perfect life, the perfect family for him. And I thought, okay, this is linking back to his childlike behavior, because at the end of the day, Nano is a child. He is like a little child. He's trying to project, he's trying to understand the world, and he thought that's the perfect life. He wants a family, he wants a mother, he wants a father, and he wants a life. And can't really blame him, to be honest. Isn't that like everyone's sort of like dream, and like everyone's sort of like to belong to something, you know, something bigger than themselves, to feel loved, to feel cared for and protected and feel safe. Isn't that what everyone's kind of hoping for?
Yeah, I mean, I think that is pretty much everyone's end goal, hopefully. I mean, with this bit here, I did enjoy how, like, Nano did view her as a mother-type figure and went after her, compared to, like, the first episode where he ditched her immediately. And did really enjoy that kind of aspect, and, like, building the house and recreating the life. I think, like, it goes back to, like, what I've been saying for this whole episode, where I feel like the emotions were definitely there to, like, show, like everything about his story, which I do think is a really interesting, fascinating story for, like, a show like this, and also the storyline itself. It's just a really great story, an interesting one, and even seeing it just put it harsh and be like, oh, that's kind of sad, but at the same time, I feel like because we know that he's died once and he dies again in this episode, it just doesn't have that emotional impact that was there before. I feel like because with how they ended things with last episode with him dying, you're like, oh my god, I can't believe that was so sad, but it comes back to life and it's still after the same thing. It just loses the emotional touch, I think, and this bit here, I feel like it should have been like a really sad like thing because it is something which he's trying to project onto his real life, so that it's, you know, so that he can actually have a normal, good, happy family. And when it's all like ruined with the parents arguing, he throws a tantrum by nearly killing them. It's it's just so weird because it's just so like sad and emotional, but at the same time I couldn't care less about the scene. So it's just a weird one. And then another thing which really annoyed me, he was going back through memory files and is thinking about the loot and all that. But when he was doing that, he was looking at the same footage which we saw in his first appearance, even with Nano being in the actual clips themselves. It's so annoying when we do this kind of stuff. Do you have anything to say about that, or am I just alone here?
To be honest, I didn't pick up on it at first, but now that you mention, how is Nano recording himself in that footage? Like, how has he got like a bipod that he's using to film himself, or is it just some sort of nanite technology that we are too simple to understand? Like, what's going on here, you know?
Yeah, it's just so it's so annoying just like one with like him being in the clips. It that annoys me so much when I do this in like episodes, because like everything they never bother to like make new footage. They always go back to the old footage and don't do anything about it, despite them like thinking and or like the scene and like, oh yes, I see myself perfectly clear. It's just so annoying. And then even looking at the clips, oh god. So I understand why I would do this is to save time with the clips, but at the same time, when you look at the clips, you get like very interesting angles of how Harry was breaking into stuff, like all like angles which we saw in the actual episode. I think it's just so annoying because I wish they'd done it so differently, like in across like every like, you know, TV and movies. It's just so annoying. I think like the way we should have gone around it is they were doing a first-person view, which would have been more accurate, or they could have done it through like security footage. But it's just so annoying when we do stuff like this. But yeah. Okay, so moving on. So afterwards we do get to see Nano. He's at the fair and he's taking the loot. How stupid are the cops in this episode where they not be able to see the loot in the theme park and didn't think, oh, that's real or something along those lines. Had no one at the theme park realise it? And better yet, how did Nano get the loot and put it in there if he went to get Harry straight away? Opinions?
Now that you mention it, I didn't realise. I thought there was just some fake gold. Like, you have the plastic treasure and all that. And some rides. But I didn't realise it was the actual loot. Because at the end of the episode, the tells give straight up stolen goods to April to use to buy a new home. Oh my word, I thought that was just fake.
No, it's real.
It's the real thing.
Yeah.
And now that you mention it, how did Nano get the treasure to the family fun park whilst he was breaking out Harry? And how was he in two places at once? How does that work?
And also, just come to think of it, Harry had all the loot in the junkyard where he was arrested and where Nano was killed. It's just... so annoying. This whole episode... This really doesn't feel like it was up to standards with all the other ones. It just felt like it was a last minute kind of episode. Oh god. So many plot holes. Oh no.
There is a lot to digest and a lot to process because it doesn't actually make sense of what's going on. Like it just doesn't make sense. The story doesn't flow as it should. But I guess they did it just to speed things up and just to progress the story along.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing which I do think that would definitely would have helped this episode out is how at the beginning where we do get to see Nano come to life. If there was a scene straight after the last episode and show us a flashback, and then that's how you explain a lot of stuff like that. It's just so annoying how it does how to mess up. It's such a important episode more or less for Nano and Harry and all that. And I say that even though it's like nobody kind of characters, they did have a very big importance in the last episode, which is highly regarded among fans as being a very good episode, a very dark and emotional episode. I mean, get to have an episode like this, and it's just what went wrong? There's so many things. Okay. Yeah. Either way, moving on because we have. Even though we're going to get started trying to argue, not argue, but complaining.
Sidetracked, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk about the actual fight between Nano and the turtles and how to kill Nano with a roller coaster. Yeah, what do you think about those scenes there?
To be honest, I didn't think that could be possible. What Donnie was talking about, trying to create some sort of EMP to take down Nano. And of course, seeing the whole theme park was a pretty cool scene because we got to see something different and seeing a new environment and to seeing how the city looks at different parts of the day and all that. However, there's one slight problem that I'm going to say right now. How the hell has no one seen them? How has no one... there's a giant robot walking around New York City in a theme park, and no one's called the cops, no one's called the military on them, no one's batted an eye, and thought, oh, that's weird, there's a giant robot fighting 4 turtles in a theme park. Just another Thursday night, am I right?
I mean, I can understand them not realising them in the park because it is quite far away from the city and all that, but also at the same time, Nano walked straight through the city. Yeah, oh god, this episode.
doesn't make sense, does it?
Well, I guess the only thing which they could say that it was late at night. I think that's the only thing which they could really say. Because, well, I think that's the only excuse they got is that it was at night time, maybe early hours of the morning. But even then, you'd think that someone would have heard them or something. Oh. Either way, getting back to it, what do you think about the actual fight itself?
To be honest, I thought the fight was pretty cool and just really cool to see Nano like upgrade himself with the theme park and all that. And it was pretty funny as well when the turtles went up to Nano and said, "We don't want to fight you." It played a flashback of the turtles fighting him, and he just remembers that and thinks, "Okay, you want to fight? You'll get one," sort of thing. And I thought that was quite funny because it was a bit like when the turtles said they didn't want to fight, and then when Nano showed them a flashback of when they fought him, they were all like, "Ah, crap," and then all hell broke loose.
Yeah, I mean, just like this kind of scene, again, he's in the scene, but still that's not the point. It's just it's so like annoying because like they did like take the time and energy to put in like some thought and effort into like some parts like this one, but then all the other scenes. But yeah, I mean, I see that overall for the fight scene, it was okay. There wasn't really too much to it. I thought it was just an okay kind of fight scene. I mean, I did like how like Mikey was able to use his hoverboard. That was cool. I mean, I did like Mikey's attitude throughout this whole episode, especially this bit here where he was really annoyed and just has that kind of attitude which was like angry, annoyed, but still trying to be funny. It worked so well for him. And and this was also something which I didn't want to mention at the beginning, because Mikey's attitude reminded me a lot of that stuff from like Notes from an Underground episode, and with the ref intro bit where it goes, "Oh, you're probably wondering why we're at a theme park." It reminded me a lot of the episode from the Way of Invisibility, one where he was kidnapped by the Invisible Ninjas, and it goes, "You remember?" Speaking along the lines of, "Oh, wait, I'm trying to find the words." Because he's talking about like the old movies, and he goes, "You ever see one of those old movies where the inspector wakes up and he goes, 'Where am I?'" It gave me those kind of like vibes which I did quite enjoy. But overall for the fight scene, it was alright, I guess. I think like at this point I pretty much tuned out of the episode and I was pretty much just done with it. So I don't really remember all too much, despite me watching this episode like 20 minutes ago. I think that goes to show just how disinterested I was in this one. And then for the final bit, we get to see the Turtles give April her stolen jewelry to go off, sell it, and then buy her own place. Now that does sound really nice for the Turtles' point of view. But at the same time, they just take they're no better than Harry. Like they're still taking the jewels to use it for their own wealth. I understand why they did it. It's just annoying because it doesn't feel like the Turtles, but
there's like some moral implications going on here.
Yeah, it just feels like it's like I don't know because it feels like it doesn't really feel like the Turtles whatsoever. Like because and it's been like other cases where the Turtles have found like stolen stuff and are like, "Oh yes, we must find this rightful owner" and stuff like that. But yet we get something like this and they're like, "Oh well, it's for our friend, and technically we did destroy our home, so we are responsible." So like it just doesn't matter like whatever way you look at it. They're still no better than Harry.
Yeah, good point. Like, they're no better than Harry, even though they're using the money for their friend. It's a very weird question. It's a very weird moral implication that's going on right here.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand it because and also like some of the jewels and which was stolen from April's shop, but that's only it was only like a few rings and stuff like that. Compared to how much I have, which is like you got coins in there. I think there was one point. I think there was like a scepter in there or something along those kinds. Like a lot of that stuff wasn't April's, so it's just annoying because like, it's just not for turtles, despite it being them. And I think it really did. I think it sent a wrong message to the kids.
Yeah, I just it is it's a very difficult question to answer. It's just like, do you return it or do you use it?
They did something bad.
Yes, they did do something bad, but it was for April to buy her own place and move out. And of course,
are you really justifying this?
I'm not trying to justify it. I'm just trying to say that there's 2 points that people can look at this. I'm not trying to justify anything.
No. I don't. No, I'm pretty sure you can only look at this in one specific way. Is that, and this ain't bad. They're taking stolen loot and try to use it for their friend, which was good for them, but at the same time, they're not giving it back to the people which was stolen from. There's no way to justify this whatsoever.
Yeah.
Don't justify criminals, Hayden.
I'm not trying to justify anything. I just
don't lower your standards.
There are two sides of the story here that people might consider.
But at the same time, it's still bad.
It's just, yes, to an extent, it is bad. Like,
they're doing something bad for good reasons, but either way,
stealing is, yes, like the there's an old saying. There's an old saying. The ends justify the means, sort of thing. That's what's going on at the moment, I think. Unfortunately,
I don't think it does. If April got, and it's just like thing I was just thinking about at the beginning of the episode where April has had a job in like 3 months. Like, if she had a job, she could be able to move out. But no, nothing can justify this whatsoever. Why doesn't she live with Casey? Like, there's so many other options. Like,
oh yeah, I forgot Casey has his own place.
Yeah, it's just like there was so many things about this whole bit here. It's just, should we just move on, because I feel like we've made our point. We're just going to keep going on and on about it.
Yeah, I think we should, because we're just going to go on and on and on about it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So, what do you think about this episode overall?
Overall, I thought it was a pretty cool and interesting episode. It was nice to see Nano again, even though he has a tragic end, unfortunately, and just having this tragic end to Nano, being like, he's such a child at the end of the day. Like, he is literally a child, and all he wanted was a family, and unfortunately he was destroyed because of his powers, and all he wanted was just a family. Like, is that too hard to ask for? Like, he just wanted to have a family. That's all he wanted.
Yeah, I mean, overall for me, I did find this episode to be quite boring, but I think, like, when you really think about this episode with especially with like a lot of specific scenes, this episode is gotta be one of the like worst ones where they didn't really think about it all too hard with some scenes, and some scenes it just doesn't really feel like it's like the characters themselves. It's an episode that's all over the place where it can't tell if it wants to do something like serious or if it wants to try and do something comedic, or it wants to be good or bad or something like that. It just felt like this episode, like, I was told to do something specifically with Nano and try to do something there, but at the same time, they wanted to try to do something different, and this is the end result, which is just a god awful mess. But yeah.
Unfortunately, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Do you want to hear some trivia for this episode?
Let's hear it.
Okay, so this episode was originally called Modern Love: The Return of Nano, but then mysteriously was changed to The Return of Nano. Either way, both names are kind of crap. And then the vehicle which April was working on with Donatello It's a submarine.
A submarine?
Yeah. It appears later in the season.
Okay, then.
Yeah, just typical Toll stuff.
Just a typical, we just have a submarine in the sewers. Just another day in the sewers. We're just working on our submersible. Nothing to really pry into there, really.
Yeah.
Submersible, really? Of course, Donnie was going to cook up something crazy like that eventually. Like, there was only a matter of time.
Well, I mean, it's Turtles, it's Donnie, and they do need another like car kind of thing to get around the city, but they don't. I mean, if I remember correctly, I think they only used the submarine like twice. But yeah, they still made a toy out of it. So yeah. And then okay. So for the cast, it on the Tollpedia page, it is stupid. Major characters are Donatello, played by Sam Riegel, Leonardo, voiced by Michael St. Nicholas, Michelangelo, voiced by Wayne Grayson, Raphael, voiced by Frank Frankson, also known as Claude Grabby, Hermoso Spencer, voiced by Darren Dunstan. Secondary characters: April, voiced by Veronica Taylor, Casey, voiced by Mark Thompson, Nano, voiced by Veronica Taylor, Harry Fishlub Parker, voiced by Eric Stewart, Dr. Maroon Richards, voiced by Veronica Taylor, and then the two police officers. How are some of these secondary characters? Like, Nano, he's the main character! How is he a secondary character?
What? How? That doesn't make sense.
If I could be bored, I would change that, but I can't be asked to change it. Okay. The next episode. Now this one you're gonna love a lot more, and it's gonna be sparking off so many theories. This one's called "What a Crock." What do you think is gonna happen in that episode?
I think we're gonna have a new character introduced to the series.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I might have an idea on who it might be.
Who do you think it would be?
If only I could remember the name. Yes, that's the name, Leatherhead. I think Leatherhead might be joining this branch in the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle. And I don't know if it is like Universal, but it sounds a lot like Leatherhead.
It is Leatherhead.
Yes, okay. I was gonna say, it's like Leatherhead, is this one of a kind character, or is he like a universal character throughout the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle universe, so to speak?
He's a character which does pop up in most versions. I think there's only been so far on TV shows, there's only been Rise of Timothy, which hasn't got a Leatherhead, but all the other ones which they do have Leatherhead. And Ms. Mayhem one, they changed him up quite a bit to be a female. But yeah, I mean, Leatherhead is he's a character which does pop up most times, but because because of the 80s show, everyone thinks he's a villain. So it's very rare they do find him to be a good guy. Also, in the original one, he was Australian, and he goes around saying, "I guarantee." Compared to this one, where it's completely different, where he's a good guy.
An Australian Leatherhead. That is certainly a weird combination, but it sounds like it could work.
Yeah, okay, now to your favourite part.
Yes. This time again.
Okay, so who do you think is going to be starting the episode?
I believe...
It's one for Turtles.
Yep, thank you. I think Leo might be starting this one off.
Okay, well, you're wrong. It's Mikey.
Of course. Because Mikey was my second one, but I didn't want to say it just in case, but because it's Leatherhead, and of course I'm going back to 2012, Mikey and Leatherhead did have like a good relationship, so yeah, no, I think Mikey should have been the one.
On this version, it's more like it's more like Leo. What's voice? So in this version, Mikey Leatherhead But I do have a little connection, and I do get on. But in this version, it's more of Donnie and Leatherhead. He's more because in this version, like Leatherhead's more of like a scientist kind of thing.
Oh, okay then.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just Leatherhead. I think you're gonna love him. He really speaks to you with the technology kind of thing. His voice, oh my god. He did a voice for Traximus, so and his exact same voice with a very deep and beautiful voice. So
okay.
Yeah, you'll see it next week. Yeah. So do you have anything else to say about this episode, or are you sort of done with this one?
To be honest, I'm sort of done with this episode. I think I've said what I've needed to say and covered most of the base areas for this episode.
Yeah, I mean, I wish I could be a bit more positive, but I just can't. I think the heat's really getting to me. I just really couldn't care less about a 2003 episode. Like, this is not me. But yeah. So if you do like this one, you can. If you like this one, yeah, please comment, share, subscribe, and all that stuff. I've been Teddy.
And I've been Hayden.
And we'll see you soon. Goodbye, yo. Bye.
Bye.